Yeah, so I wanted to address another potential counter argument against my video on secession, because I know that's one of my more fringe positions. So I feel like I should really cover all my bases making that argument. Another argument that comes up sometimes is they'll look at the finances of the particular like state or region that you're talking about having secede, and they'll say, well, hey, you get more from the federal government than you give in tax dollars. So if you left, it would actually be damaging to the people of that region. So if your goal is to care about the people in your particular region, you're economically hurting them by leaving this larger state, right? Sometimes it's tax dollars, like the example I just gave. Other times it's economic output, right? They'll be like, well, hey, your state gets a lot of imports, but they don't export a lot. They're not actually super productive or valuable. So by leaving, you're actually losing more resources than you're gaining, right? The main problem with this argument is that it gets made in the exact same way in reverse, right? So like, if we had a wealthy region that was giving more of its money in tax dollars and was producing more output than it's taking in, the argument immediately then just flips around to be, oh, look how selfish you are. You don't care about anybody else. You're a bunch of rich people, and this is an elitist move for the rich to get a backdoor tax cut, basically. They're leaving because that's how they avoid their taxes. So it's wealthier region. So it's like, if the region is generally worse off than the broader nation, then it's like, why are you being stupid and leaving the broader nation and hurting yourself economically? But if they're generally better off, it's like, you're a bunch of elitist rich people after a tax cut, and this is an elitist move. So there's kind of no winning with this argument. So I think you really just got to ask the question, what is the right scale for government to take place at? And go from there. And, maybe there's a role for assessing secessionist movements. I think that if just Cape Cod, if just the tiny town of Cape Cod or Beverly Hills or some rich people town wanted to become an independent city-state just on its own, and it's just all rich people, I think maybe that would probably be a problem, because it would probably just be a huge tax break for them. But also maybe they'd be cut off from, depending on how they do it, maybe they'd be cut off from the suppliers of their wealth, and they'd have to discover real quick that their wealth does not exist without the backs of all these other people. So, I think probably avoid hyper wealthy, very small regions splitting off. But I think anything the size of a state is necessarily going to contain a mixture of demographics, areas that are wealthy, areas that are poor. I don't really think you can assess a region as large as, say, Texas or California as being fully an elitist place or fully a poor region. So I don't think that argument really has much traction.